My family member refused to put me on guest list for his ceremony because I hold information that could wreck his union, but I already planned my move. Be me, 29 years old. This happened about 6 years ago, but I'm finally ready to tell the story. Long post ahead, but trust me, it's worth it. This is about my older brother Marcus, always been the family golden boy. You know, the type, good-looking, charming, gets away with everything, while the younger sibling gets blamed for breathing wrong. That was my life for 24 years until I finally had enough. We work at the family construction company. Well, I work there. Marcus just shows up, schmoozes clients, and takes credit for everything. Dad's been promising to hand the business over to Marcus since we were kids, because obviously the older son deserves everything, right? This all started at Marcus's engagement party last summer. My parents went all out, rented a white tent for the backyard, hired fancy catering, all invited half the town. Nothing but the best for their precious firstborn. The whole thing probably cost more than I make in 8 months. But hey, when it's Marcus, money's no object. Marcus's fiancée Jessica was there, looking gorgeous as always in this blue dress. Smart girl, way too good for my lying piece of shit brother. But more on that later. She works as a marketing coordinator downtown, has her own apartment, her own life, everything Marcus pretends to respect, but actually can't stand, because he needs to control everything. From the moment I got there, something felt off. The usual family dynamics were in play. Marcus holding court in the center of everything, relatives hanging on his every word, mom and dad beaming like he'd just been elected president. But there was this tension underneath. Like everyone was performing a little too hard, Jessica kept checking her phone. Not obviously, just quick glances when she thought nobody was looking. Every time Marcus laughed too loud, or started another one of his stories, she'd flinch slightly, like she was counting down minutes until she could escape. And she kept looking at me. Quick glances across the table, longer stares when Marcus was distracted. There was something desperate in her eyes, like she was drowning and looking for someone to throw her a rope. The speeches started during dessert. Dad went first, talking about how proud he was of Marcus, how Marcus was going to take over the construction company someday, how he'd always known Marcus was destined for great things. Standard speech, but the way he said it, like I wasn't even sitting 10 feet away. Still stung. 24 years of being invisible, and it never gets easier. Then Marcus stood up for his turn. More fake humility about finding your soulmate, building a future together. He had his arm around Jessica's shoulders. I could see her trying not to pull away. The whole performance made me sick, but I kept my mouth shut like always. Uncle Pete was gushing about Marcus's brilliant project numbers. Cousin Jim talking about what a natural leader he was. The whole family just eating up this image of Marcus. The successful businessman, the perfect son, the guy who could do no wrong. If only they knew what I knew. See, I'd been keeping a secret for months. Something that could destroy not just Marcus, but potentially the whole family business. Marcus has been stealing, embezzling funds, falsifying records, running elaborate scams with clients. And it's not just about the money. It's about how he's been doing it. Taking married clients to strip clubs, charging their companies 70 grand for projects that cost 40, keeping the difference, using the company credit card for entertainment expenses that would make your head spin. I found out by accident 4 months earlier. Was working late, needed to check some invoices for a commercial job. Marcus had left his computer unlocked, just sitting there logged into company accounts, with transactions that made no sense. Payments to consulting firms that turned out to be high-end strip clubs. Cash withdrawals that didn't match any legitimate business expenses. At first I thought maybe it was a mistake. Maybe Marcus was just careless with paperwork. But the more I dug, the clearer it became. My golden boy brother was systematically robbing our family blind, while using the stolen money to corrupt clients and inflate his project numbers. So I started documenting everything. Screenshots, printed receipts, copies of bank statements. Built myself a file that would send Marcus to prison if I ever decided to use it. Wasn't planning to necessarily, just wanted insurance in case Marcus tried to screw me over again. But sitting at that engagement party, watching him play the perfect son while I stayed invisible, watching Jessica look more miserable by the minute, I started thinking maybe it was time to stop being the family doormat. The breaking point came when Marcus started his speech. More bullshit about love and commitment, about how lucky he was to find someone like Jessica. The whole time he's talking, Jessica's phone buzzes. She looks down at it, and her face goes completely white, then red, then white again. She looks up at Marcus, then at my mom, then directly at me, and I can see the exact moment she decides she's done pretending everything's fine. "Actually, Jessica," she says, standing up slowly, "before we celebrate, there's something everyone should know." The whole table goes dead silent. Marcus's smile freezes on his face like someone hit pause on a movie. My mom jumps up immediately. "Jessica, sweetheart, maybe we should talk about this privately." "No," Jessica says. "I'm done with private conversations." Marcus tries to put his hand on her arm, probably thinking he can smooth this over with his usual charm. "Babe, whatever's wrong, we can work it out." Jessica jerks away from him like he's on fire. "Don't touch me." That's when I know shit's about to get real. Because Jessica's not the type to make scenes, not the type to air dirty laundry in public. For her to stand up at Marcus's engagement party and start dropping truth bombs, something major must have happened. "I found the texts," she says loud enough for everyone at the table to hear clearly. "All of them. The ones to your brother's girlfriend, Victoria. The hotel receipts. The lies about working late when you were really meeting up with her. The silence that follows is absolutely beautiful. You could hear a pin drop on the grass. Even the catering staff in the back of the tent stopped moving to listen. And of course, all eyes turned on me." Marcus's face cycles through about 5 different emotions in the span of 2 seconds. Confusion, panic, anger. Then this weird calculating look, like he's trying to figure out how to spin this disaster into something manageable. That's not... He starts, but Jessica cuts him off before he can get rolling. "Don't," she says. "Just don't. I have screenshots, Marcus. Pictures of hotel receipts. Text messages where you're planning meetups with her behind my back. Should I read them out loud for everyone?" My mom's face goes tight with that look she gets. When someone's about to embarrass the family. "Jessica, this is hardly the time or place for this kind of discussion. When would be the right time?" Jessica shoots back. "After we're married? After I've wasted more years of my life on a cheater who thinks I'm too stupid to figure out what he's doing?" Marcus tries to step closer to Jessica, probably thinking he can use his usual charm offensive to calm her down. "Jessica, please, whatever you think you saw." "I know what I saw. Your fiancé's been screwing my girlfriend for months," Jessica says, turning to look directly at me. "I'm sorry, Tyler. You deserve to know what kind of people you've been trusting." The whole table swivels to stare at me, like I'm some kind of zoo exhibit, waiting for me to lose my shit, start throwing punches, make some big dramatic scene about betrayal and heartbreak. Instead, I just take a slow sip from my glass and give a little nod. "Yeah, I know," I say, casual as anything. Marcus's panic immediately shifts to confusion. His mouth actually falls open a little. "You knew?" "Of course I knew." "For how long?" "Couple weeks now." The family's looking back and forth between us like they're watching a tennis match. Marcus is trying to process this information, probably wondering what game I'm playing. But here's the thing. Nobody saw coming. I wasn't done. Not even close. Jessica had just handed me the perfect opening for what I'd really been planning all these months. Mom's trying to do damage control now, talking about how families work through problems together, how we should handle this privately like civilized people. Dad's looking around the table like someone's going to tell him this is all an elaborate joke. But Jessica's not backing down. If anything, she's getting more fired up. "The worst part isn't even the cheating," she says, her voice getting stronger. "It's that your mother knew about it." Every head at the table turns toward Mom like she just confessed to murder. Mom's gone pale as a sheet, her mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. "I don't know what you're talking about," Mom says, but her voice is shaky and unconvincing. "You called me last week," Jessica says. "Told me Marcus was going through a rough patch with work stress, and I should be understanding if he seemed distant or distracted. You knew he was cheating on me, and you tried to get me to ignore it." The family starts shifting uncomfortably in their seats. This isn't just about Marcus anymore. This is about the whole system that protects him, while throwing everyone else under the bus. "I was trying to protect the family," Mom says weakly. "You were trying to protect Marcus," Jessica fires back. "Like you always do. Like you've always done his entire life. No matter who gets hurt in the process." That's when I decide it's time. Time to stop being the invisible younger brother. Time to stop letting Marcus get away with everything while I take the blame. Time to drop the real bomb I've been sitting on for months. I stand up slowly, deliberately. Everyone looks at me, probably thinking I'm going to make some speech about Victoria, about how betrayed I feel, maybe break down crying about my broken heart. Instead, I pull out my phone and open the folder I've been building. Since I discovered Marcus's theft. Since we're sharing family secrets tonight, I say, my voice calm and level. There's something else everyone should know about Marcus. Marcus's eyes go wide. He knows I've got something on him, but he has no idea what. The panic is starting to creep back into his face. Marcus has been stealing from the construction company, I said, letting that sink in for a second. Embezzling funds, falsifying project records, running scams on clients, the whole thing. The reaction is immediate and intense. Gasps from the aunts, Dad's face going bright red, relatives murmuring to each other. Marcus looks like he might actually throw up right there on the white tablecloth. That's complete bullshit, Marcus says, but his voice cracks on the last word. Tyler's just trying to get back at me for the Victoria thing. Am I? I start scrolling through my phone, pulling up the screenshots I've been collecting. Because I've got bank records here, company credit card statements, receipts from strip clubs where Marcus takes clients. You're lying, Mom says. But she's looking at Marcus when she says it, not at me. Paradise Lounge, Diamond Dreams, Golden Palace. I read off my phone. Marcus has been taking married clients to these places, charging their companies astronomical fees for entertainment and consultation, then pocketing the difference. A $40,000 project becomes a $70,000 invoice. Marcus keeps $30,000. The client thinks they're getting VIP treatment, and the company pays whatever Marcus tells them to pay. Marcus is starting to sweat now, probably running through his options and realizing they're all bad. Those were legitimate business expenses, he says. Business expenses? I honestly had to laugh. What kind of construction business do we do at strip clubs, Marcus? Are we building structures for dancers now? Dad finally finds his voice, and when he speaks, it's quiet and dangerous. How much money are we talking about, Tyler? I scroll through my documentation, adding up the numbers I've been tracking. About $95,000 over the past year and a half. Maybe more, I'm still going through older records. The number hits the table hard. $95,000. Enough to buy a house. Enough to send a kid to college. Enough to expand the business legitimately. Gone, pissed away on strip clubs and fraudulent billing schemes. Marcus, Dad's voice has that tone he used to use when we were kids. And someone was about to get the belt. Is this true? I was surprised that Dad actually can use this tone on Marcus. Marcus opens his mouth, closes it, opens it again. For the first time in his entire life, he can't talk his way out of something. The golden boy who's always had an excuse, always had a story, always had someone else to blame, is completely speechless. I can't explain, he finally manages. Explain what, I say, not giving him a chance to get his bearings. How you've been robbing your own family to pay for your strip club addiction. How you've been defrauding clients who trust us. How you've been building your reputation on stolen money and fake project numbers. It was definitely my moment to shine, and I absolutely ate it all up. Marcus was trying to think fast, but he's never been good under real pressure. When things get tough, Marcus usually just blames someone else and lets them deal with the consequences. It's not what it looks like, he says desperately. The clients wanted the entertainment. I was just giving them what they asked for. By overcharging them 50% and keeping the difference, the entertainment industry has high overhead. Cut the shit, Marcus. You're a thief and a fraud, and now everyone knows it. Jessica's been watching this whole exchange, with this look of disgust mixed with satisfaction, like she's finally seeing Marcus for what he really is, instead of what he pretends to be. Strip clubs, she says, her voice full of contempt. You've been stealing money to take married men to strip clubs. While you're engaged to me, it's not personal, Marcus says weakly. It's just business. It's theft, I say, and fraud and probably a dozen other felonies that are going to send you to prison. That's when my family shows their true colors. Instead of being horrified that Marcus is a criminal, instead of demanding he make things right, they immediately start trying to protect him. Now hold on, Dad says, standing up and holding his hands out like he's trying to calm everyone down. Let's not make any hasty decisions here. Marcus made some poor choices, but poor choices? I couldn't believe what I'm hearing. Dad, he stole nearly $100,000 from our family business. Marcus has been under tremendous pressure, Mom chimes in, like that somehow makes theft okay. The stress of managing clients, planning a wedding, trying to live up to expectations. Are you seriously defending him right now? Jessica's voice cuts through their bullshit. He cheated on me, stole from your family, defrauded your clients, and you're still making excuses for him. Marcus has made mistakes, Dad says, but he's still family. We protect family in this household. You protect Marcus, I corrected him. You've been protecting Marcus his entire life, while throwing me under the bus every time he screws up. That's not fair, Tyler. Isn't it? Remember when Marcus crashed your truck in high school? And somehow I got grounded for not stopping him? Remember when he failed 3 classes his senior year, and you blame me for not setting a better example? Remember when he got fired from his first job for showing up late, and you said it was because I didn't support him enough? The table goes quiet. Even the relatives who have been whispering among themselves shut up to listen to this. Marcus has always been the golden child, I continue. No matter what he does, no matter who he hurts, you find a way to make it someone else's fault. Usually mine. We love both our sons equally, Mom says. But even she doesn't sound convinced. Do you? Because I've been running the day-to-day operations of the construction company for 3 years. While Marcus shows up for client lunches and family photos, I've been handling the real work while Marcus takes credit and steals money. But somehow, he's still the one who's going to inherit everything. Marcus has been quiet during this exchange, probably hoping the focus will shift away from his crimes. But now he sees an opening. What do you want, Tyler? He asks. Like this is all some kind of negotiation. I look around the table at all the faces staring at me. My parents who just spent 15 minutes defending a thief because he's their favorite. My brother who's stolen from his own family and cheated on his fiancée. The relatives who've watched me get treated like garbage for years and never said a word. I want what's mine, I say simply. I want the construction company. I want Marcus gone. And I want every penny he stole paid back with interest. You can't be serious. It's not that easy, Mom says. Like I just suggested we sacrifice Marcus to pagan gods. Dead serious. Because here's the thing. I already filed a police report. Marcus is looking at serious felony charges. Marcus's face goes completely white. You called the cops? Filed a formal complaint yesterday morning. Embezzlement, fraud, theft by deception. Turns out the police take this stuff pretty seriously. Even when it's family, the explosion that follows is everything I hoped for and more. Marcus yelling about betrayal and how could I do this to him. Mom crying about how I'm destroying the family over money. Dad trying to play peacekeeper while clearly panicking about what this means for the business. Relatives talking over each other. Half of them outraged at Marcus. The other half outraged at me. But Jessica just looks at me with something that might be respect. Maybe even admiration. Good, she says loud enough for everyone to hear over the chaos. Someone in this family finally has some backbone. She reaches down, pulls off her engagement ring, and sets it on the table in front of Marcus. We're done, Marcus, she says calmly. Don't call me, don't text me, don't show up at my apartment. If you want to be a lying, cheating thief, do it without me. And just like that, Marcus loses his fiancée, his inheritance, and his freedom. All in the span of about 15 minutes. Best engagement party ever. That suit that I bought was worth it for this classy night. The aftermath was exactly what you'd expect. The week after the party was complete chaos. My phone was ringing constantly. Relatives wanting gossip. Family friends trying to get the real story. People I hadn't talked to in years, suddenly very interested in my side of things. But the family itself, they circled the wagons around Marcus like I knew they would. Mom called first, crying about how I was destroying the family over money and letting jealousy turn me into someone cruel. When I pointed out that Marcus was the one who destroyed things by stealing and cheating, she just cried harder and said I was being vindictive and heartless. Dad showed up at my apartment Tuesday night, looking like he'd aged about 10 years since the party, just pushed past me into my living room, and sat down on my couch like he owned the place. We need to talk, he said. Do we? Because last I checked your son's a thief who's about to face criminal charges. He's your brother too, he said. Marcus stopped being my brother the minute he decided to steal from our family and screw my girlfriend. We went in circles for about an hour, Dad making excuses, talking about family loyalty, suggesting that maybe Marcus just made some errors in judgment, that we could work through privately. Me pointing out that $95,000 isn't an error, it's a crime. Finally, Dad got to the real reason he came. Drop the charges, he said. We'll figure out a way for Marcus to pay the money back. He can take a smaller role in the company, Maybe work his way back up. No. Tyler, be reasonable here. I am being reasonable. Reasonable people don't steal nearly $100,000 from their family business. Reasonable people face consequences for their actions. Dad left that night looking defeated, but I could tell he wasn't giving up. This was just the opening move in what was going to be a long campaign to get me to back down. Meanwhile, Marcus was spiraling, heard through mutual friends that he'd been calling Jessica constantly, showing up at her apartment, begging her to take him back. She'd blocked his number after the second day and threatened to get a restraining order if he didn't leave her alone. Victoria tried calling me too, probably realizing that her meal ticket just got arrested. Left a bunch of voicemails about how sorry she was and how we needed to talk about what really happened. Deleted every single one without listening to the whole message. The legal stuff moved faster than I expected. Turns out, when you have bank records, company credit card statements, and witness testimony from employees who had seen Marcus's client entertainment schemes, building a case is pretty straightforward. Marcus's arraignment was on a Wednesday morning. I didn't go, but I heard he showed up in handcuffs, looking scared out of his mind. Plead not guilty, obviously, but his public defender looked like he'd rather be anywhere else in the world. Judge set bail at $60,000. Marcus didn't have $60,000 lying around, seeing as how he'd blown most of his stolen money on strip clubs and expensive dinners. Had to sit in county lockup for 4 days before Dad scraped together the bail money by taking out a loan against the business. While Marcus was dealing with felony charges and trying not to get shanked in jail, I was meeting with the construction company's board of directors. Just 4 people. Dad, Uncle Pete, who handles our financing, Cousin Jim, who runs the equipment department, and Mrs. Chen, our business attorney. The meeting was supposed to be about the Marcus situation and how to handle it, but really it was about who was going to run things. While the Golden Boy was facing 6 to 12 years in prison, we need someone in charge who can actually manage the day-to-day operations, Uncle Pete said. He'd been doing our books for 18 years and knew exactly how little Marcus actually contributed. Tyler's been handling most of the real work for the past 3 years anyway, Cousin Jim added. Clients know him, employees respect him, and he actually understands the business instead of just schmoozing clients. Dad tried to argue, of course. Talked about how Marcus was still technically the heir, how we shouldn't make permanent decisions based on temporary problems, how family businesses need to stick together during difficult times. But Mrs. Chen shut that down quick. Marcus is facing multiple felony charges, she said. Even if he beats them, which is unlikely given the evidence, no bank is going to work with us while he's involved. We need clean leadership if we want to survive this scandal. The vote was 4-1, with Dad as the only holdout. Just like that, I was officially running the family business that Marcus thought he was going to inherit. First order of business. Fired everyone Marcus had hired over the past few years. His drinking buddies who showed up late and did half-ass work. His strip club contacts who somehow ended up on the payroll as consultants and specialists. The project managers who knew about his client entertainment scams and kept their mouths shut for a cut of the profits. Cleaned house completely. If you were part of Marcus's operation, you were gone. Second order of business. Changed all the locks, all the passwords, all the access codes. Marcus was officially banned from company property, pending the outcome of his trial. The business started turning around immediately. Funny how much more profitable you are when nobody's stealing from you, and nobody's running elaborate fraud schemes that might blow up in your face. We started finishing projects on time and under budget. Started giving clients honest quotes instead of Marcus's inflated nonsense. Started building a reputation based on quality work and fair dealing, instead of strip clubs and kickbacks. Clients noticed the difference right away. Word started spreading that we were running a clean operation again. Within 3 months, we had more legitimate business than we could handle. That's when Victoria decided to make her move. Showed up at my apartment on a Friday night, wearing this tight red dress that used to drive me crazy, and carrying a bouquet of flowers. Like we were old friends getting together for a reunion. "Hey, stranger," she said when I opened the door, giving me this smile that probably worked on guys with less self-respect. "What do you want?" "Can I just visit, see how you're doing? I heard about what happened with Marcus and the business." I looked at her, really looked, still pretty sure, but there was something desperate in her eyes now, something calculating, the kind of look you see on people who've run out of options and are trying to figure out their next angle. "Marcus is broke," I said, "facing serious jail time. Suddenly you remember I exist. Her smile faltered just a little. That's not, I mean, yes, Marcus and I had a thing, but it's over now. I realized I made a mistake choosing him over you. You realize Marcus can't afford to take you to fancy hotels anymore. Don't be like that, Tyler. What we had was real. We can have that again. Real, right? Real to Victoria meant expensive dinners, designer gifts, vacations to places she could post on Instagram, all the stuff Marcus had been buying with stolen money. You know what's real? I said. Real is not screwing your boyfriend's brother for months, while pretending everything's fine at family dinners. Victoria's face hardened a little. You weren't exactly ambitious back then. Marcus had prospects, a future. He was going somewhere. Marcus had stolen money. There's a difference. And now you have money. You have the business, the respect, the future Marcus was supposed to have. Weird how things change. She wasn't wrong in her shallow way. I did have money now. I had power, respect, a future that didn't depend on anyone else's approval. But none of that came from Marcus or from my family's support. I had earned it by being the one person willing to tell the truth when it mattered. You're right, I said. I do have money now. Money I earned by working instead of stealing. Success I built by being honest instead of running scams. A reputation based on actual accomplishments instead of fraud and theft. So we could try again, start fresh. Put all the drama behind us. I stepped closer to her, and for a second, she probably thought I was going to invite her in. Instead, I started closing the door. But you missed one thing, Victoria. I don't let gold diggers profit off my success. Get out, she tried to argue. Started talking about second chances and how much she'd missed me. But I just kept closing the door until she got the message and left. That night, I called Jessica. We'd been talking since the engagement party. Just coffee here and there. Getting to know each other without Marcus in the way. Turned out when she wasn't constantly managing my brother's ego and pretending everything was perfect. She was funny and smart and real in ways that Marcus had never appreciated. Good day? She asked when she picked up. The best? Marcus's ex-girlfriend tried to win me back tonight. Oh God, how did that go? Told her to get lost. Turns out, when you actually respect yourself, it's easier to spot people who don't. Smart man? So what now? Now I keep building something worth having. Maybe ask out this amazing woman who deserves way better than my piece of shit brother. There was a pause on the other end of the line. Then Jessica laughed, warm and genuine. I thought you'd never ask. 8 months later, Marcus took a plea deal. 6 years in minimum security prison, full restitution of the stolen money, and a permanent ban from working in the construction industry. He'd be out in 4 years if he behaved himself. The family was devastated naturally. Mom still blamed me, said I destroyed Marcus's life over money and jealousy. Dad was more realistic. He could see that Marcus had destroyed himself, but he still thought I'd been too harsh. But honestly, I didn't care what they thought anymore. I had a business to run, a relationship with someone who actually deserved my time, and a future that was completely my own. Jessica and I got serious pretty quickly after that. Not because we were rebounding or trying to hurt Marcus, but because we genuinely enjoyed each other's company. She made me laugh in ways I'd forgotten were possible, called me on my bullshit without making me feel like crap about it, supported my decisions without trying to manage my life. The family situation stayed complicated. Mom and Dad kept trying to maintain some kind of relationship, but it was surface level, mostly. Holiday cards, awkward phone calls about the business, forced small talk when we ran into each other around town. They'd ask about Jessica. I'd give short answers. They'd mention Marcus was doing okay in prison. I'd change the subject. We all pretended this was normal family interaction, but everyone knew the real relationship died the night Marcus got arrested. I was done pretending we were close just because we shared DNA. A year later, we got married. Small ceremony, just close friends, and the family members who had actually supported us through the whole mess. My parents came, awkwardly trying to rebuild bridges they had burned. Uncle Pete walked Jessica down the aisle. Since her dad had passed a few years earlier, Cousin Jim was my best man. At the reception, Dad pulled me aside. I owe you an apology, he said, for years of putting Marcus first, for not seeing what you were capable of, for not protecting you the way I should have. Thanks, Dad, that means something. The business is in better hands than I ever thought possible. You've turned it around completely. Coming from him, that was basically a declaration of love and respect. Mom was harder. She still thought I'd been too harsh on Marcus, still believed that family should forgive anything. But she was trying, asking about Jessica, showing interest in the business, making an effort to see me as something other than Marcus's disappointing little brother. 2 years later, we had our first kid, a daughter we named after Jessica's grandmother. Marcus was still in prison, obviously, and honestly, the world felt better without him in it. The business kept growing. We expanded to a second location, added a concrete division, even got a contract with the city for their infrastructure maintenance. Everything Marcus thought he was going to inherit. I built from the ground up through honest work and fair dealing. Marcus got out of prison last year, heard through the family grapevine that he moved to Nevada, is working manual labor, keeping his head down. Good for him, I guess. Hope he learned something, but I don't really care either way. Marcus spent 24 years treating me like garbage, stealing credit for my work, letting me take blame for his mistakes. When he finally got caught, when his whole fake life came crashing down, I didn't save him. I didn't throw him a rope. I watched him drown and felt nothing but relief. Jessica and I are solid. Better than solid, we're partners in every sense. She runs the business side, while I handle operations. Our daughter's 4 now, smart and confident in ways I never was at her age. We're talking about having another kid. The construction company has 5 locations now. We're the biggest independent contractor in the state, built on honest work and fair prices. The opposite of everything Marcus represented. Dad officially retired last year, handed me full control in a ceremony at the country club. Marcus's name never came up, which felt about right. People sometimes ask if I ever think about Marcus, if I wonder how he's doing, if I feel bad about destroying his life so completely. The answer is no. Marcus destroyed his own life by choosing to be a lying, cheating thief. I just made sure there were consequences. And you know what I think about instead? Whether my daughter will grow up feeling loved unconditionally, whether she'll know that success comes from hard work, not from stepping on other people, whether she'll have the backbone to walk away from toxic people, even if those people are family, because they say blood is thicker than water. But that's bullshit. Family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up, who has your back, who treats you like you matter. Marcus never did any of those things. So, when he needed me most, I wasn't there either. Some people call that revenge. I call it justice. And 6 years later, I'm still sleeping just fine at night.